simplify a radical, a pretty messed up radical here. It's got exponents in it and all kinds of stuff. So it's actually a fraction, and on the top the radicand is 90 times x to the third power times y to the negative 1 power with a big square root over it. And the bottom is 2x to the minus 3 times y with a big square root over all of that too. Okay, so let's see. I think the first thing I'll use is the rule that says I'm going to use square root of a over square root of b equals a big tall square root of a over b. I might as well start there. It doesn't really matter where you start, just get to work on it. Okay, so this problem becomes equal to a big tall square root of, let's separate number over number, times x to the third power over x to the minus 3 power times y to the negative 1 over y. And that's equal to, let's see, the square root of 90 divided by 2 is 45 times x to the 3 minus a negative 3 times y to the minus 1 minus the power on the bottom is 1. So that is equal to the square root of 45 times x to the 3 plus 3, which is 6, times y to the negative 1 minus 1 makes negative 2. Okay, now you see I've been ignoring the fact that I have a negative exponent here for a while, but eventually I'm going to have to deal with it if it doesn't disappear, and it hasn't. I'm going to bust these guys up because you see everything's being multiplied here under the radical, so it can be broken apart. It's the same as the square root of the number 45 times the square root of x to the 6th times the square root of y to the minus 2. Okay, so let's see, the square root of 45. Are there perfect squares in there? Yeah, there's a 9. It's the square root of 9 times the square root of 5. And let's see, I could bust this up to the square root of x to the 2nd times the square root of x to the 2nd times, see what I'm pulling out perfect squares. And I know that x to the 2nd times x to the 2nd times x to the 2nd is equal to x to the 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So that's the same as the square root of x to the 6th. And for this next guy, I'm going to have to make this long and flip this guy upside down because he's 1 over y to the positive 2. And now I'll bust that up top and bottom. Okay, square root of 9 is 3 times square root of 5 times, okay, these guys cancel, cancel, cancel. So I get x times x times x times, okay, this is the square root of the top over the square root of the bottom. Well, square root and square are going to cancel. So what do I have here? 3 times square root of 5 times x to the third power. That takes care of 3 factors of x. Times square root of 1 is 1 over square root of y squared is just y. Now let's see. Multiplying across the top and putting the radical 5 in the back, I have 3 times x to the third times the square root of 5, and all of that is over y. You could write it that way. If you want to, you could do it this way. 3x cubed over y times the square root of 5. Same answer. Doesn't matter which one you use. And we are finished.